Hello, my name is Jasmine, aka Gladiatorinsweats, and I'm here with a quick yet succinct message for the Human Conscious Collective in this present now, which is Saturday, August 10th for me. So, happy Saturday. I really hope that this reaches you all well, and I just want to jump right into the message. So, the card that I did receive for us today was Stand Your Ground, which resonates very much with me, with I've been going through and the message I've been receiving for myself personally. So I hope that this also touches you as well. So the first thing that really comes to my mind before I even touch the short passage and share that with you is really this image of standing our ground, of rooting ourselves in our truth, in our own personal truth and our beliefs. But as you may know, throughout a lot of my work recently, I've just been really breaking down the whole concepts of how much we need to rely on our beliefs. So a part of my understanding with this message is a little less on our beliefs, but more on what we feel is true for us, relying and feeling into not only our intuition but our God mind, that clarity where we're able to see maybe it's not always about the logical A to point B sort of trajectory. Sometimes it's more about the knowing that we feel within us, and the knowing that we also can sense within our gut, where we know that this is right for us. Less being objective of there being a right and a wrong for everyone, but of knowing that this is for me and that I can stand in that and I can sit in that knowing and honoring that of myself. That's really what I see in this card. Also, with the way that you're sort of facing the light in this card, I sort of see this light also as, we all carry our own lights, our own source of essence. And so I also see this as we do tend to feel ourselves coming into our own space, but we can also see this with, the rise of social media and how much people feel like they have to look outside of themselves to really harness that light or to garner the right kind of light for them. When I feel ultimately here, there is a rising of that light and that fire and that passion from within ourselves, and really expanding that light outwards into our own lives through our actions, through our words, through all that it is that we are, in this plane of existence. So yeah, that's really what I get just visually from this card, of just really standing in our spiritual power, of knowing who we are, of our own authority, yet while respecting other people's authority. This isn't about tyrannical behavior or behavior of, well, I recognize my truth and therefore I refuse to respect other people's truth. So just wanted to acknowledge that as we do stand in our ground, we can recognize it's not really about pushing our own beliefs on other people or having to create judgment against or towards other people because of the ground on which we stand. And maybe that could be a whole nother topic, but I just want to read the short little passage and leave it there for you. So this card is of the spiritual nature with the violet border here on the card. So definitely feeling this of the fire nature of our passion. What really gets us fired up, I think about energy in terms of how we harness all of that passion and that potential, like that kinetic energy that ultimately gets us to moving when we see that next step that we can take and we can move. So the passage says, this card comes at a time when you're being tested and challenged. There may be fierce competition and potential rivals surrounding you in your personal or business life. But know that you have the strength and inner courage to stand your ground, no matter how hard or formidable things may appear. Don't surrender or give up the control you have. And I even want to stop there and say, when I think of control, I think of the control of our own inner faculties, of controlling ourselves, less about controlling the whole sort of external circumstances. But I digress and continue. Be brave and stay true to your core life values and belief system, which are your best allies and will help you move forward. It's important to remain clear and focused, so you may have to stand alone, and defend your convictions to the end. Maintain your health and stay strong so that you have an ample supply of energy to endure anything, as this could be a long and arduous, yet ultimately hard-won victory. And so I really feel here in this message, outside of the whole sort of discussion in that card about rivals and about this sort of having to be the sort of us versus them kind of mentality. But what I really feel here is less about that and more about us being able to acknowledge our own inner authority, less than we acknowledge other people's or what seems to be the outside external authority. What I'm really feeling, not just in this card, what I've been feeling within the collective recently is just a call for us to really lean into our own knowing, for us to, ask for guidance from within, for us to ask for what it is that we seek answers or clarity to from within, because a lot of that not only can but will come through us and come for us when we first off not only ask, not only put it out there that we would like that assistance, we would like that that clarity, but also in recognizing that the perspective is different for everyone, that there is no objective truth when it comes to what one quote unquote should or could do for their life or on their path. And so even in speaking to what they were talking about on standing alone sometimes, where we have to stand in what we really feel is true for ourselves, it's also important for us to discern when we are just standing in our heart space and our own knowing and what's true for us, and when we are wanting to go against the grain because of trauma that we may have felt or any sense of separation that we do feel in regards to that topic. I spoke a little bit about this in my Instagram stories, and I definitely can speak a little bit more on this in an actual side video if you would like, because I definitely feel as we are really having to discern what is best for us and what feels right for us, there is a subtle difference that can be felt between when we're really just doing something that's best for us and it just feels right for us and it happens to go against the grain, and when we feel urged to go against the grain because somewhere, something, some part of that status quo we feel traumatized by, victimized by, separate from, what have you. So just to bring it back to what this card was all about, though, in standing our ground and standing in our knowing in what is, right for us and what we feel convicted, what we feel really strong about, what we really just feel grounded in, what we feel ourselves rooted in. And speaking in my own personal experience, I'm finding myself rooting a lot more into oneness, into unity, not into some, faux pas idea of everyone just needs to get along, but I've just been digging a lot deeper into my understanding of oneness. And so that's where it is for me, where I do recognize a lot of the things that are happening in my life that challenge my understanding or my, not necessarily my belief, but my faith in oneness and my, the way that I see oneness and the way that I actually embody oneness in our life. Because I also feel like this card does also speak to a lot of the things that we may have been learning recently, and now we have the opportunities to really embody that learning, to take that and actually put it into practice, where maybe we have to learn to diffuse a situation where we have a sort of argument or sort of side against side sort of dynamic here, and we can learn how to maybe diffuse that situation or transcend or move through that situation without becoming attached or without becoming allowing ourselves to be victimized in some sort of way. There's just so many ways in which this can actually happen in our lives, so these are really just examples, but I really just wanted to get to the heart of the matter here, which is that if we do feel challenges and things in our life that it just feels like we're being tested, I do often see these things and prefer to see these things as tests, but as tests that I've created for myself to see if I really believe what I claim, if I really walk the talk that I say, Or do I actually need to really unpack that a little bit deeper? Or do I need to really sort of take a deeper look at this? Or maybe, my stance on this isn't what I thought it once was. I just see all of these challenges as opportunities for us to really test our mettle, and for us to test our beliefs and test our faith and test our knowing. So, yeah, I digress. I really hope that this message ultimately made sense to you and that it hit home in however way that you may have needed it to. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here and for tuning in. So, you can find me on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook, both at the Gladiator in Sweats or Gladiator in Sweats on Instagram. But all of these links will be down below so that you can find me elsewhere. And yeah, I think that's really it. So thank you again, and until the next video, which I am hoping to create more content more consistently. I think, as I've stated in the past few couple videos, that life has really just been handing me a new hand of cards, is what it feels like. And so as I'm like in the middle of like having my cards reshuffled to kind of go along with the analogy, things have been very much up in the air, and so I haven't been as present on my YouTube, just so I can allow space for myself. So thank you for that. And yes, I will hope to bring more content and more of myself to the channel. So yeah, until next time, much love and many blessings. Peace.